Check, 1, 2, what a nice warm tube sound you have. Hi, welcome to Hack a Week number 34. This week it's the tube amplifier modification. This used to be a Webcore tube amplified turntable, and I turned it into what you see right here, which is a nifty little practice amp I can use for my acoustic guitar, my bass guitar, microphone, whatever. So follow along now and you'll see how I turned it into what it is here. Hello. Love that warm tube sound.
So I've got this old Webcore turntable with a tube amplifier in it. I found this thing at the landfill in the electronics pile, and you're not really supposed to take electronics from the dump, which is kind of lame, I think, because, you know, I could use them, I could recycle them, but I took it anyway, and I don't think the guy saw me, and who cares? Anyway, I would have put it back maybe, or just thrown it in my car and drove off. But anyway, I got it. I salvaged it from the dump. It works. I played around with it and it kind of works okay. But the turntable section in here is a little bit funky. Doesn't really want to work quite right. So I thought this would be a really cool candidate to hack the tube amp out of and put in a little box and turn into a little practice amp for my acoustic guitar. So let's get to work on hacking this old Webcore tube amplifier out of here. Old electronic tube smell. Let's take a closer look at what we've got here. It's stereophonic. There's the balance left and right. And I did fire this up and it works okay, but the needle is pretty crappy in this thing. It's got a funky little teeny cartridge that's really weird. Let me see if I can pull this out and we can take a look at it. Well, it's not working too well to pull out of there, but I had some extras around and it's a pretty minimalist little cartridge and it sounds like crap. So I decided let's take it apart and turn it into something else. So the first thing I got to do is pull the speaker cabinets off. They're left and right here. We'll get those out of the way and then get tearing into this thing. So this thing was designed to be portable and take around to your sock hop, I guess, maybe. And then you'd be like the talk of the town because you got the badass portable turntable. So the little clips here in the front undo and the speakers flip out like that. Or you can just pull them off the hinges, pull out the accessory cordage, and set them far apart for the optimal stereo imaging. Whoa! So we're going to just kind of disconnect those and set them aside for now. Actually, let's go further than that. Let's go ahead and open these up and see what kind of speakers are inside here. So what do we got? Look at that. Looks like about a 6-incher there maybe, and a 4-inch speaker. And a big fat paper wound capacitor. Wow. That's a pretty cool old cap. Take a closer look at that. You see that there? It's a 2.0 microfarad paper cap cased in cardboard and sealed with wax and a little swollen up, but it's probably doing its job. It's there to take out the bass frequencies for this little 4-inch speaker. So that's what's inside the speakers. Next, let's get inside here. JFET wants to get inside the speaker box. Okay, to take this out, this looks to me like it's held in with 2 screws on each side of the cabinet. So let's just yank them out of there. See what happens. Oh, it feels kind of loose. Ah, okay, we gotta pull some knobs off. Whoa, and that's the 45 RPM adapter. Aha! The cover's off. And there is the tube amplifier down inside there. So now we need to figure out how to get all that out of there and kind of keep it all in one piece, maybe still mounted to part of this cabinet. There's going to be a little woodworking involved with this, but the first thing to do would be to get the amp out of the box. I've gotten underneath this thing and released one of the little catches that holds the turntable in place. And once I lift that one out, the other one can just slide out. And then here's the turntable with some wiring coming in here. This looks like, to me it might be, I don't know, maybe a switch. Yeah, this is probably a switch for the reject switch. When it turns off, it kills power. And yeah, that's exactly what it is. And then there's 110 volts coming in here. So I need to disconnect all that stuff because I won't be needing any of that, of course. And let's see, we have stereo leads that go over here. And I'm really curious to see if this is true stereo or if it's fake stereo, because I don't see two power tubes, I don't think. Maybe I do. I don't know. Let's look, because right in the back here is a schematic taped to the inside of the thing. All old electronics had this. At one time, they always had a schematic inside, so a technician somewhere could actually work on the thing and have the schematic there for reference. This is back when things could be fixed instead of thrown away and run out and buy another iPod. Alright, I got the guitar with the piezo pickup in it hooked up, and it's working okay. Got a pretty good bass response. Treble. Just set them both about the middle somewhere there and pick around a little. So now that I've tested this out and proved that this whole crazy thing will work, I'm going to put these speakers into that enclosure right here on top. I have my controls here, I have the speakers mounted here, but this measures about 14 inches across and this is about 9 inches across, so I need to, this being right here, I need to cut that down to about 7 inches, but I'd still like to keep this really cool retro bitchin' speaker grill stuff going on here. So I've started peeling it off, which should be pretty easy. And I can just adhesive this back on later, little spray adhesive stuff, and be able to put this back on. So I'll cut this down to about 7 inches and mount them up into the other part of the enclosure like I showed you, and we'll be good to go. I decided there's one more mod I want to do to this thing. The thing sat like this because it sat flat on the ground and you operated the controls like this. This is the, let's see, this would be the bottom. So if I flip this whole thing over, this will all be upside down and the tubes will be upside down. So what I think I'm going to do is, I've got the amp loose, I'm going to pull this whole thing out, take the whole amp and see if I can, I've got to undo my power wire, but I'm going to see if I can take this out, flip it around the other way, and mount it like that. That way everything will be right side up. I'll cut a hole up here for it to vent the way that it did on this front piece. It had a vent on it. Then all the controls will be right side up. I've taken the amp and I flipped it around completely. The other way around, so now when you put the cover back on, faces up, right side up, kind of a thing. Stand it up here and you can see. So now it'll be like that, and the speakers will go in there, and where the turntable used to be. So the speakers had to be modified because they were a little bit too long and too wide. So I've cut them down to size so they will fit right in there like that. And now it just comes down to doing some wiring. Put a couple of jacks in here, and I've got a cool power source going on here. This I salvaged from some device, I'm not sure what, but it just uses a computer plug, which is handy, and it's got a circuit breaker built onto it and a switch built onto it. I'll mount that probably somewhere here on the side, maybe right here where the hole used to be for the speaker jack. And I'm going to reuse the speaker jacks for the two inputs. So I'll have the two inputs right there and a stereo mono switch. I'm just going to reuse the cloth that I pulled off from these speakers to cover them again. So I'll hit them up with a little bit of spray adhesive, and we can stick them all back together. Well, this looks tacky enough now. It's been sitting here for a while. Let's put the speakers onto the grill cloth and just kind of line up the weave of the fabric and set it down. That's about it. Wrap it around the edges, and I'll trim away the excess with a razor blade once I've got it all wrapped. There we go. All recovered, ready to install. Well, here it is. What used to be a Webcore turntable, tube amplified, has now been turned into a little practice amp. Little tube practice amp. Let's see how it sounds, shall we? Not bad at all. I'll plug in the bass amp and see how that sounds now. Well, let's hear how the acoustic bass sounds, shall we? Well, there it is, the little practice amp made from a turntable. How about that? If you decide to mess around with tube amplifiers, be careful. There are some high voltage in those big tube amplifiers. This one runs on 110, doesn't step up or anything, but the bigger ones can really kick your ass, and you could be potentially killed. So be really careful. Don't work on the stuff plugged in. Watch out for big capacitors that hold a charge, stuff like that. So until next time, keep on hacking. Oh, and since this is a musical hack on Hack a Week, it just wouldn't be so without playing this song at least one time.